So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube, DieHeavens4Games, bringing you a very spicy upgrade to the Invoked deck. Now, I can't take credit for this spicy upgrade. That all goes to Robbie Hill. Now, Robbie Hill took this deck, not this exact build, but he took a similar Invoked build with this spicy touch in the deck to YCS Dusseldorf, and he just wouldn't stop going on about it. So I kind of had to, I was figuring out and was just asking him, how do you abuse that in this deck? Like, what does this get? And we kind of thought about it, looked into it, and I was like, oh my god, that's an amazing touch. And the best thing about it is it's generic. It can be played in any deck you want. Now, it's better served in a fusion-based deck because of the way it operates with the rest of the deck, but it's still very, very good in any deck that you want, and it causes your opponent a huge amounts of issues. It just board clears, untargeting, undestruction. It's just crazy good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this profile. This is my personal build using the tech that Robbie kind of brought to me. I don't know if he was the originator of this tech, but you know, that's the person who I know kind of brought this to me. So, without further ado, I'll take you through it, show you what we've got, explain why I've got it, and then when we get to the tech, I'll explain why it's so good in this deck. So, we start off with, as any Invoke deck kind of works, triple Alistar the Invoker. Quite self-explanatory on that one. Then, the change that I've made is, I've got with triple Mech Knight Purple Nightfall, triple Mech Knight Blue Sky, one Indigo, one Red Moon. So he didn't play the Mech Knight engine, he played like an Engage kind of engine. I've kind of gone with the Mech Knight engine just to give us a bit of an additional board extension as well. We've then got triple Ash Blossom, double Ghost Ogre, and double Droll, because hand traps in this deck are insanely well, because not only are they hand traps, you can then use them as fodder, more so Ash Blossom and Ghost Ogre, for your fusion summons. And then we get onto the spice. Now the spice is of course one Rainbow Dragon and one Elemental Hero Neos. Now if you don't know what this spice is by now, you definitely will by the next card. So that is it for the monster lineup. Moving on to the spells. Now of course you can play Kaijus in the main if you wanted to, or put them in the side. It's very, very good to have it in the main, because of course you can Kaiju any disruption. So like if your opponent's got Steel Coitus, you Kaiju that, then you activate like Mind Control, anything like that, take back the Kaiju, so you can't be Kaiju, and then build your board on top. Anyway, the spice. Triple Neos Fusion. This card is insane. Special summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that lists exactly 2 monsters as material, including Elemental Hero Neos, by sending those monsters from your hand, deck, or field, ignoring its summoning conditions. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters. If a fusion monster or monsters you control that lists Elemental Hero Neos as a material would be destroyed by battle or card effect, or shuffled into the extra deck by its own effect, banish this card instead. So not only does this give you protection, it also locks you down from special summon for the rest of the turn, but with Invoked you do all your special summon beforehand, and then you use this as an end card. You've dragged out everything, like if your opponent goes Ash, your opponent goes Ogre, anything like that, you've dragged all of your opponent's negates out. All you need left is this card and you win the game. Like, hands down, they cannot come back once you play this card. And I'll show you exactly when we get to the extra deck. The card, if you don't know it by now, you should do. But I'll get to it when we get to the extra deck to show and explain exactly why. Triple Call by the Grave, triple Magical Meltdown, double Invocation, double Instant Fusion, double Mind Control, double Terraforming, the single Super Poly, one Monster Reborn, one Book of the Law, all quite self-explanatory on all of those. The only downside of this deck is there's not a huge amount of draw power, but you rely on going second, so you get that 6th card, and then you can put extra cards in, more like Floodgates and stuff like that, from your side, along with Kaijus, Prank Stops and stuff like that. On top of that, what you want to keep in mind is if you want to do put some draw power in there, of course you can take out your Super Poly, take out Monster Reborn, stuff like that. You can kind of play around with this ratio a lot more. And then of course we've got triple Infinite Impermanence, because it is probably one of the best traps around right now, not including like Floodgates and certain kind of elements like that, but it's still very, very good as a hand trap. Alternatively, if you don't want to play Impermanence or don't have Impermanence, Effect Veiler can do the job just as well, in a way. So it's really down to you on how you'd want to play it. Now on to the extra deck. I'm going to leave the spice to last. It's just that, you know, it's that cool. So we've got the one Link Karibo, self-explanatory on that one. Borreload, Boral Sword, Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix. Usually these cards would be your boss monsters, not in this build. Invoked Raijin, double Invoked Purgatrio, that wins you games. The one Elysium, you don't have to play Elysium, it's just a nice one off of Super Poly. Double Invoked Mechba or Macabre, one Caliga. Again, instant fusion target if you want it to be, but alternatively it does use your opponent's Ray, so that can cause your opponent a huge amount of issues and can really put them on the back foot. We've then got the one Alistar Invoker of Madness and the 1000 Eyes Restricts. Now if you want to go more defensively, you can put in Millennium Eyes Restricts instead. Now, the spicy card, if you know what it is by now, it is of course Rainbow Neos. Now the reason this card is so good in this deck is with the brand new spell, it is kind of like Shadow Fusion, but they don't have to control an extra deck monster or anything like that. On top of it, now this is old wording because it is one of the first prints of it, but keep in mind, so this card cannot be special summoned except by fusion summoning with the above fusion material monsters, Elemental Hero Neos, Rainbow Dragon, and or Rainbow Dark Dragon. Obviously the fusion spell negates its summoning conditions, ignoring its summoning conditions. Once per turn, you can activate one of the following effects. Send one monster you control to the graveyard to return all monsters your opponent controls to the deck. Send one spell or trap card you control to the graveyard to return all spell and trap cards your opponent controls to the deck. Send one card from your top of your deck to the graveyard to return all cards in your opponent's graveyard to the deck. So, returning to the deck. Sky Strikers, cool, they've now got to build up their graveyard again, and if they've got a Ray in there, they're not going to be using that when you attack with Neos or anything like that. Sending back their spell and traps if they've got a lot set, unless they've already Widow Anchored you. Like I said, you only need one card to get to this and you're going to be baiting them out as much as you possibly can. Rainbow Neos does the job. If you want to play Denko on the side, you normal summon Denko, lock out their back row, then summon Rainbow Neos, spin their entire back row back in. Against Autogeist, Kaiju their Silcoitus, or Kaiju the Ray as well in the or Suzuku from the Sky Striker engine, shut them down, then shuffle in their back row. Then on top of that, if you want to shuffle in, if your opponent's got like a full board of monsters and you're like, damn, he's got a lot of monsters I can't deal with, Rainbow Neos, shuffle them all back in without targeting, without destruction, and then swing into your opponent for 4,500. Now on top of that, if you've been disrupted, that's fine. You're still sitting on a 4,500 beater that can be used every single turn. And it has protection in the graveyard with the fusion spell. If they haven't been able to disrupt you, or they hold off for Rainbow Neos, which I doubt they'll know you're going to be playing straight off the bat, you're going to have a board of hopefully Alistar plus a Macabre that can give you an extra negation for protection when you bring out the Neos. If you've got the field spell in play, they can't respond to you bringing out Neos, which is even blooming better. And then on top of that, if you do get Book of the Law as well, you bring Rainbow Neos down here, get Book of the Law. Now, of course, you've used the fusion spell, so you can't use Book of the Law this turn, but you've got a Macabre with negation, with a spell in hand, should they want to interrupt you that way. You've got Alistar the Invoker, and then you've got Rainbow Neos, so you've pretty much got game on board that way there. Then, if they do survive and you've shuffled in their graveyard, their back row, their monsters, whatever, you then set the Book of the Law if you want to, and you've got a Macabre. You can then turn into a second Macabre. Oh, sorry, I think Book of the Law is a different one, with a different name. But you could then turn Macabre into a Raijin, that could then disrupt your opponent even more so. And you've got a lot of place to work around. You just, ideally, your opponent does not survive after you've Rainbow Neos them. If they do somehow, they've then got to gain back either their graveyard, their monster presence, or of course their back row, which is sometimes easily doable, but they've also got to go around a Macabre, depending on what they've got left in hand as well. So you cause your opponent huge amounts of issues. It's an incredibly powerful card, and like I said, it's a generic 5-card main deck engine, or if you want to make it a shorter engine, by all means do so. But on top of that, it is a 1-card extra deck engine as well, so you're not losing a huge amount of space in your deck. And to keep in mind, Neos Fusion, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't looked into it that much in depth for like Predaplant engine, but I'm not too sure if the Predaplant engine can search it. I would say the one weakness of this deck is draw power. Like, there's no way of searching out the Neos Fusion. You do have to hard draw it. So if you want to make it more consistent in the deck, by all means you put in more draw cards. I believe Robbie was playing Engage, Drone, Widow Anchor, stuff like that to help deck thin him and get him additional draws, which of course is a very, very powerful card, and that's where you'd probably swap out the Mech Knights. The Mech Knights just give you additional disruption, searchability, and of course kind of power plays to push through on the board, especially when you then do all of that. They've then got to negate as many of your Mech Knights as you possibly can. And you're then going to slap a Rainbow Neos after you've pretty much ripped all the negates out of their hand, slap down a Rainbow Neos, shuffle back their back row or front row or graveyard, and then just beat in for game that way. So very, very good tech. Good shout out to Robbie Hill on that one. If it was created by somebody else, then I do apologise. I will shout out to them if I know that. But obviously Robbie was the one that brought this to me. Very, very good. Very, very fun. Generic as well. But a nice update to the Alistair or the Invoked deck profile as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. And until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. What's up, YouTube? Dad here from War Games. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, please hit that big thumbs up button in the bottom corner as well. And don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Make sure you click that notification bell as well so you know every time one of our new videos goes up. Throughout the whole year of 2019, we're going to have more deck profiles, duels, and of course pack openings for you guys to watch and enjoy the entire year round. So stay tuned for more, and as always guys, happy dueling.